What's up, Canfield Nation? Richie Giuliano back with you here from Cocca's Pizza in Canfield. Glad to be joined by the head football coach for the Canfield Cardinals and Mike Pavlansky. Coach, this is now week number 2 of the high school football season. Your team has gone a long way. You are on a 9-game win streak. Just talk about this journey so far, getting to the second week of the playoffs.
It's been fun, Richie. There's no doubt about that. And what's been fun about it is just watching our kids grow every week. We've gotten much better since the first scrimmage and since the first ball game against Poland. And, watching them improve and come to practice and want to get better and enjoy each other, it's been fun that way. I can't believe it's week 12 already.
Yeah, I mean, this season has just flown by so far, but a big win for your team on Friday night against Notre Dame Cathedral Latin. That's a team that you've had some connection with in the past couple of years. Second time you've knocked them out of the playoffs in the last 5 seasons. Just touch on what that means to your program, beating such a prestigious team in NDCL.
Yeah, you're right. We had previous history with them in the last 4 years. We've played 3 times, and they got us in 2019 up there 38-0. We certainly remembered that. And, credit our kids. They had a great week of practice, and they came and were ready to play from the jump. And, before you knew it, it was 35-0. And, we were able to, get a lot of guys in the game in the second half, which is also a tremendous thing to do.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, you talk about coming out and just laying a gut punch. Notre Dame Cathedral Latin in that first drive, first 3 plays, moved the football pretty well, got it to midfield, but then your defense buckled down, got a big stop, and, after that, it was 6 straight punts in a row from Notre Dame Cathedral Latin. Just talk about your defense and, how stout they were.
Defensively, we had a great ball game. And you're right, the first drive, we had some guys that were nervous, obviously, and had never played in a playoff game before, and we had some guys out of gaps, and that's how big plays happen. And, once that got corrected, midway through that first drive that they had, our defense settled in, and again, we're lights out the rest of the night.
Now, you talked about big plays happen. A big play occurred on your sideline. Brock Lowry breaks open a 93-yard touchdown run, and it was all Canfield from there. Just touch on how well Brock played. He only played a half and a 1 drive, but, I mean, that half and 1 drive was fantastic.
Yeah, no doubt. It's what we expect from Brock. Brock doesn't do anything out of his comfort zone per se. We just tell him before every game, just be Brock Lowry. That's good enough for us. Yeah. And don't try not to do too much. Yep. If you stay within your framework of what you're asked to do, those things happen. And obviously that 93-yard run is not going to happen unless our line blocks properly. The wideouts did a great job. Jake Schneider down the field blocking, and sprung Brock on that last block, and he was able to outrace all those guys to the end zone.
Now, we got a chance to talk to Brock Lowry as well as Nick Bowen before this, 2 captains. I don't think you could find 2 better leaders around this valley to lead a program.
I appreciate that. Our football team selects the captains, coaches stay out of it, and it really gives you an indication of what type of team you're going to have, when they select captains. And I thought our guys did a tremendous job in selecting not only Brock and Nick, but also Paolo and just like Toby Smith. And, just great 4 great kids that have brought this team together.
No doubt about it. You mentioned that in your post-game talk with Mike Ackelson during the game about the 4 captains and how well this team has played, and they just want to progress Canfield football as the weeks go on and on and on. I talked to Nick Bowen about this, about the line. You came in with a very young line. He was the only senior. Right. Man, have they matured well throughout this season.
They have. And really, since the Dover game, we've gotten a lot better. We just weren't good enough to beat Dover and run the ball against them. They were experienced, big, physical kids up front. And I think that was an eye-opener to our young guys. And, from that point on, Nick has really taken the lead to encourage them to get better, work on their techniques and their fundamentals every day in practice. And, here we are 9 weeks later and, enjoying a great run.
And you talked about earlier about getting some of the younger guys back into the ball game in that second half. During a playoff game in front of a big home crowd, that experience that they're getting is very valuable moving forward for your football program.
Absolutely. We talked about that the first week of the playoffs, that there's teams on our schedule next year that aren't in the playoffs. So doesn't matter how many practices you get. You're going to have more practices than they're able to have. So make every day count in practice. And now your ability to get into a ball game and a playoff atmosphere, hopefully that pays dividends down the road.
So a big win against NDCL. Moving forward, you take on the Hubbard Eagles, who are 1 behind you in the regional rankings. They finished 5. Just preview Hubbard for us.
Brian Hoffman's done a great job leading wins in school history out there as a head coach. And then, everybody talks about TC Caffey, and rightfully so. He's second in the nation in rushing, 2,500 and some yards, 8.5 a carry, 232 yards a game, 37 touchdowns. But I'm going to tell you what, he's not doing it by himself. There's a lot of guys up front that are moving bodies, and led by Alec Goodrick, their left tackle, who's 6'5", 290. Nick Bowser's a sophomore, 5'11", 290. Their right tackle, number 73, I forget his name right now, is 6'6", 305, and he's a junior.
Man.
So they've got some big boys up front that are doing a great job of opening holes that TC can run through.
And I think there's no doubt you've done your scouting report for this week, rattling off those numbers left and right like it's nothing.
They get your attention in a hurry.
Oh, they do. I mean, they got a great offensive line, great running back in TC Caffey. But let's talk about your team a little bit. You brought a bunch of pressure against Notre Dame Cathedral Latin. I don't know exactly how many sacks afterward, but a multiple sacks from your team. If you could replicate that against Hubbard, I think your defense is going to be in good shape.
We certainly got to try to contain their run, and no matter who you're playing, even if it's a five wide spread team, they have to have some run game. And if you can stop everybody's run game, at least try and contain it and force them to be one-dimensional, your chances of winning have drastically improved. And that's what our guys did last week. Notre Dame Cathedral Latin wanted to run the football first, and we were able to contain the run, and that allows us to get after the quarterback when he's passing. And certainly this week, there's no secret. Hubbard wants to run the football, and if we can force them into passing a little bit more than they want to, certainly I think good things are going to happen.
Now, you talked about the defense. What do you want to see from your offense against Hubbard?
We got to control the ball. We got to win the time of possession. The less TC Caffey and his buddies are on the field offensively, the better chance we have. We need to convert on third downs to keep those sticks moving and keep our offense, out there running plays. And, that's the biggest thing right now, Richie. It just the more he has the ball in his hands, the more likely it is he's going to break one.
Yeah. Now, I talked to Nick Bone about this. I'm guessing you're not too happy with the results of the penalty flags in the last couple of weeks. Just talk about what this team has done to prepare once they get to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, in practice, you work on, not going on the first count and, trying to get them mentally tough enough and disciplined enough that, those things don't happen. And, we've got to limit penalties. If we have a lot of penalties Friday night, it's not going to be good for us.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big matchup. This is head coach Mike Pavlansky for the Canfield football team. Coach, your team taking on Hubbard. Talk to Brock Lowry about his keys to the game. What are your keys to the game?
Well, again, contain TC. If he breaks away and has a lot of big plays on us, it's going to be a long night. That's the first thing we got to do. Is you're not going to stop him or their offense. You got to contain them. And then secondly, we need to possess the football. The more we're on the field, the less they have the ball, the better chances we have. And obviously in a playoff game, the turnover battle is huge. There's one thing we're disappointed last week in our defense. We didn't cause any turnovers. We got to force turnovers. And if we can win the turnover battle, that's a major plus.
And talking to Brock and Nick, very excited to get back on their home field and play in front of their big crowd. Second playoff game at home for your program. What does that mean to this community?
Well, I think it's great for everybody involved. It gives our kids a comfort zone of playing at home like a regular season game. They know their routine. You don't have to jump on a bus and go anywhere. Obviously, for the Canfield community and our schools to come out to Cardinal Stadium, Bob Dove Field one more time this year, I think the place is going to be packed and it's going to be a great night of football.
No doubt about it. Before we let you go, we just want to say thank you for all that you've done for YSN this season. Thanks for doing those interviews on the field at halftime as well as after the game with Mike Ackelson. And, he'll be back out there again this week. So expect to see that white jacket.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing Mike, but I appreciate what you guys do for sports in our valley. And to bring recognition to the high school student athlete, I think is a great thing. And, it's wonderful to, for our kids and our program to have you guys at every game.
Coach, we appreciate your time once again. As always, good luck on Friday against the Hubbard Eagles. We'll have the call here on YSN. Canfield Hubbard Friday night, week 2 of the football season. This is another Coach's Profile brought to you by Cocca's Pizza.